Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today we're jumping into something really, really central to, well, to how businesses actually work and succeed. We're talking market research.
That's right. It's foundational stuff.
Exactly. This is part one of our look at the Introduction to Marketing, specifically Unit 4, Chapter 33, Market Research. Our goal here is pretty straightforward: to help you get a solid grip on these key ideas, especially if you're maybe studying for the IGCSE business exams, that's the International General Certificate of Secondary Education, or perhaps if English is an additional language for you.
Yeah, we want to make this clear and really practical.
Think of this as your sort of express lane to understanding why market research isn't just some textbook term, but a seriously powerful tool for any business. And just a reminder, you can always find more helpful stuff over at www.igcs-business.weebly.com. Loads of resources there.
Good point.
So let's kick things off with a basic question. Picture this. You got a great idea, maybe for, say, some super comfy, eco-friendly sneakers.
Okay, got it.
How do you know if anyone will actually buy them, like really want them? Is there even a space for them in the market? That right there is where market research steps in. Our sources define it as the systematic gathering, presenting, and analyzing of information about marketing and consumption. But what does that actually mean for a business, for our sneaker company? Why is it so vital?
It's the perfect setup because market research isn't abstract. It's the bedrock of making smart business moves. If you skip it, you're basically just guessing, flying blind. There are really four main reasons why businesses do it, and each one tackles a really critical need.
Okay.
First off, and maybe the most crucial, is to identify and understand customer needs. Our sneaker company. They might design the coolest shoe ever, but if it's not what customers actually want or need, it's not going to sell.
Right. Style isn't everything if they're uncomfortable or fall apart.
Exactly. Research helps figure out what matters. Think about, say, a vacuum cleaner company. Do people care most about the look, the color, or is it durability, how easy it is to use, to store?
Good example.
Research gives them those answers. And markets change, Customer tastes shift. So businesses have to keep checking in, anticipating what's next, staying ahead.
Makes sense. What's the second reason?
Second, it helps identify gaps in the market. This is all about finding that untapped market, a need, or maybe a group of customers that nobody else is really serving well right now.
Like finding a niche.
Precisely. Finding that gap can give you a huge competitive edge. Think about navigation apps when they first appeared. They solved a clear problem getting lost.
Definitely use those.
Right. But then they quickly added more, finding restaurants, gas stations, all sorts of services. They spotted a gap and built on it. That can lead to serious revenue and profit.
Okay, so understanding needs, finding gaps. What else?
Third, it's used to reduce risk. Launching something new, especially into a big, crowded market, it's always risky.
Always.
You hear about big product flops sometimes.
Absolutely. Remember the Amazon Fire Phone back in 2014? Huge company, but that phone led to a reported loss of, US $170 million?
Yeah. Part of it was the fierce competition, sure, but also the specific features, and the price just weren't quite right for the market at that time. Research before a big launch lets you tweak things, fix problems, and cut down that risk of a major failure. It's like a test run.
A very expensive test run if you skip the research first.
You got it. And finally, the fourth purpose ties it all together. Market research is essential to inform business decisions. Simple as that. Better information means better decisions. Think about pricing. Maybe a business wants to cut a price from, say, US $10 down to US $8. They think it'll boost sales.
Seems logical. Lower price, more buyers.
Maybe. But what if they do some research? Survey 1,000 customers. They might find out that, yes, unit sales would go up, but the total money coming in, the total revenue would actually drop.
Yeah.
Maybe from US $15 million to US $13.4 million.
Oh, okay. So more sales don't always mean more profit overall.
Exactly. That specific data from market research would tell them, hold on, don't cut the price. It prevents a potentially costly mistake.
So putting it all together, market research really is about taking the guesswork out of it, making smarter, more informed choices. Less hoping, more knowing.
That's a great way to put it. It significantly improves your chances of success.
So I'm curious then, do businesses ever just skip it? And what happens? Is taking that risk ever, worth it?
No, it happens. And the results can be, disastrous. Launching products nobody wants, entering markets that are already full. It leads to huge financial hits, damage to the brand. Sometimes a tiny niche business might get lucky purely on intuition, but for anything substantial, it's a massive gamble. Usually not worth it.
Right. Okay, that makes the why crystal clear. But now the big question is, how? How do businesses actually get this crucial information? If our sneaker company wants to know, say, what colors are trending for their target audience, where do they even begin?
Good question. There are basically two main approaches to gathering this data. The first is called primary research.
Primary, like firsthand.
Exactly. It involves gathering new information, data that doesn't exist yet. You're collecting it yourself, specifically for your current need. It's tailored, very relevant.
Sounds ideal.
It can be, but the downside is it's often quite expensive. And it definitely takes time.
Okay, so what are the methods here? How do you do primary research?
Well, a really common one is questionnaires. Lists of written questions to get people's views and opinions.
Like surveys?
Pretty much. When you design them, you need a balance. You can have open questions like, what do you look for in a sneaker? These give you rich, detailed answers, qualitative stuff, but they can be harder to sort of analyze statistically.
Right, lots of different opinions.
Then you have closed questions, multiple choice, yes, no, rating scales, like which color do you prefer, A, B, or C. These are much easier to tally up quantitative data, but you don't get the same depth of understanding.
So you wouldn't ask something like, you really want comfortable sneakers, don't you? That sounds wrong.
Absolutely. That's a classic leading question. You're pushing them towards an answer. Good questions need to be super clear, simple language, grammatically correct, and totally neutral. You want their real opinion, not the one you suggested.
Got it. No leading questions.
And keep them short. People lose patience with long surveys. Response rates drop off.
Okay. Makes sense. How do you get these questionnaires to people?
Several ways, each with pros and cons. You could use postal surveys, mail them out, convenient for people to fill out at home. But return rates are often really low. Lots of wasted paper and postage.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't mail one back.
Right. Then there are telephone interviews. Can be cheaper, reach lots of people geographically, but let's be honest, lots of people hate getting cold called for surveys.
Definitely. Click.
Haha, exactly. Then personal interviews. Face-to-face, on the street, maybe door-to-door. You get really detailed answers, clarify things, but it's very time-consuming and therefore expensive. You need to pay the interviewers. And nowadays, of course, online surveys, often very cost-effective, quick to set up and distribute, can reach huge numbers of people globally. 247. Big advantage.
But the catch?
The main catch is people need internet access, a computer, or smartphone. So it might not reach everyone equally, depending on the target market.
Okay, so questionnaires are one big method. What else for primary research?
Another approach is using focus groups or consumer panels. Here you get a small group of target customers together, maybe 8 to 10 sneaker fans for our company.
Right.
And a researcher leads a discussion with them, maybe over a few sessions. You get really deep, detailed feedback, opinions, ideas, lots of qualitative insights.
Seems useful for understanding the why.
Definitely. The big downside, though, it's a small group. Their views might not represent the entire market. You can't necessarily generalize from just 10 people.
Good point. Risk of it being unrepresentative.
Then there's observation. This is literally just watching customer behavior. Maybe researchers hang out in a shoe store and just observe. How do people look at the displays? Which sneakers do they pick up? How long do they spend considering a pair?
So no talking, just watching.
Exactly. You see what they do?
Yeah.
The limitation is obvious. You don't know why they did it. Why did they put that sneaker back? You have to infer, and you might be wrong.
Okay. And one more.
One more key one. Test marketing. This is where you launch your new product, our Eco Sneaker, but only in a limited area first, like one city or a specific region.
A trial run.
Precisely. You test the waters, see how sales go, get real-world feedback before you commit to a huge, expensive national launch. It lets you tweak the product, the marketing, everything based on actual results. Really helps reduce that risk we talked about.
Okay, so primary research. It's like getting a custom suit made, right? Perfect fit for your needs, high quality. But it takes time, effort, and costs more.
That's a great analogy. Perfect fit, but resource intensive.
Which naturally leads us to the other way.
Exactly. The second main approach is secondary research. This is all about using information that already exists. Someone else gathered it, maybe for a completely different reason.
So like library research, but for businesses.
Kind of, yeah. This data can be internal stuff from inside the business itself, or external stuff from outside sources.
Okay, tell me about internal first. What kind of stuff?
For our sneaker company, internal data could be their own past sales figures. How did previous shoe styles sell? They could look at old budgets, company reports, maybe records of customer comments or complaints they've received, even previous market research studies they did for other products. It's all info they already have.
Got it. Stuff already in their filing cabinets, so to speak. What about external? Where do they look outside?
Oh, tons of places. Business websites looking at competitor sites gives you product info, prices, company history, press releases. Speaking of competitors, you can look at their annual reports, their price lists, track their product changes, see their advertising.
So keeping tabs on the competition.
Essential. Then there's the media, newspapers, magazines, specific trade journals for the footwear industry, even TV. They cover trends, consumer habits. You can also buy commercial publications reports from specialist market research firms like Mintel or Verdict. They do huge studies and sell the data.
So you can buy research off the shelf.
Sometimes, yes.
Oh.
And don't forget government publications. Loads of useful data. They're population statistics, economic trends like inflation or unemployment, data on retail spending, all potentially relevant.
Okay, that's a lot of potential information floating around. So let's compare. What are the big upsides and downsides of using this existing stuff versus going out and collecting it fresh with primary research? For our sneaker company, is it better to just say, read trend reports, or should they be asking people directly?
Good question. The advantages of secondary data are pretty compelling. First, it's usually much quicker and easier to gather. The information's already out there. You just need to find it.
Less legwork.
Definitely. And because of that, it's often much cheaper than doing primary research from scratch. No need to pay for interviewers or survey design. Plus, so much external data now is available online, often for free. Government stats, company websites. It's right at your fingertips.
Quick, cheap, easy access. Sounds pretty good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking about our sneaker company again. Fashion changes fast. Can they really rely on, say, a government report from last year or sales figures from 5 years ago to know what sneaker trends are hot right now?
That's the nail on the head, and it leads straight into the disadvantages. First, the information might not be exactly what you need. It was collected for someone else's purpose, remember? So it might not quite fit your specific question about, say, eco-friendly sneaker materials.
Okay, not specific enough.
Second, as you said, it could easily be out of date, especially in fast-moving sectors like fashion or tech. Last year's data might be ancient history in terms of trends. And third, you have to question the accuracy. Was the original research done well? Is the source reliable? You didn't control the collection, so you can't be sure.
Right, you're relying on someone else's work being good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to be critical when using secondary data.
So let me see if I've got this straight. Primary research is custom, specific, up-to-date, but costs more time and money. Secondary is faster, cheaper, easier, but might be less relevant, outdated, or even inaccurate. It really is a trade-off, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Often the best approach is actually to use a combination of both. Maybe start with secondary to get a general overview, then use primary to fill in the specific gaps.
Okay. That makes sense. Use both strategically.
Precisely.
Okay, so we've covered how businesses get data primary and secondary. Now, what about the type of data itself? We hear these terms thrown around. Qualitative and quantitative. What's the difference, and why does it matter for, say, our sneaker company trying to figure things out?
Yeah, that's a really key distinction. Let's break it down. Qualitative data is basically about understanding attitudes, opinions, beliefs, intentions, the reasons behind things, the why.
Okay, like feelings and opinions?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's usually expressed in words, not numbers. Think about feedback like, I love these sneakers because they feel light and support my arch, or I'd buy them if they came in brighter colors. It gives you rich insights, a deeper understanding.
So qualitative is like asking someone to describe their dream vacation. You get all the details, the feelings.
Perfect analogy. The downside, it's subjective. Analyzing pages of comments can lead to different interpretations. It's harder to boil down into simple stats or charts.
Right, harder to measure feelings.
Then you have quantitative data. This is information that can be measured and is expressed numerically.
Or numbers. Got it.
Think sales figures for our sneaker company. How many pairs sold? What percentage market share did they have? How many people clicked the buy button online? It's all numbers.
So quantitative is like asking, how many stars would you give that hotel out of 5? A clear number.
Exactly. It's generally easier to collect, especially in large amounts. Easier to process, analyze statistically, present in graphs, and compare over time or against competitors. It's less open to interpretation, much more straightforward.
So businesses probably need both, right? The numbers and the stories behind them.
Ideally, yes. Quantitative tells you what is happening. Qualitative helps you understand why it's happening. And, speaking of data collection, we absolutely have to mention social media now. Its role in market research has just exploded.
Oh, yeah. How are businesses using platforms like Instagram or Twitter for research?
In lots of ways. They can track hashtags, what's trending in hashtag sneaker fashion. They monitor comments on their posts and competitors' posts. They see what influencers are saying. They can even run quick polls or target specific demographic groups with questions.
Wow. Sounds fast.
It is. The advantages are huge. Massive reach, millions of people. Ability to target specific groups, often low cost or even free. It allows for direct personal communication. Information comes back very quickly. And it's generally easy to use. You don't need complex IT skills to search Twitter.
Okay, that sounds incredibly powerful. Fast, cheap, direct access to potentially millions of opinions. But it makes me wonder, how reliable is all this data? Whether it's from social media, a survey, or anywhere else. Our sneaker company can't afford to base big decisions on, shaky information, right?
That is the crucial question. Reliability is paramount. Because if your data is unreliable, the decisions you base on it are inherently risky. You could invest millions based on flawed insights.
So how do we know if data is reliable? What makes it trustworthy?
Well, when researchers talk about reliability, especially in surveys, they often focus on the sample. That's the small group of people they actually question who are chosen to represent the entire target market.
Okay, the sample.
Several things impact reliability. One is just the number of people questioned. Generally, a larger sample size gives you more confidence that the results reflect the whole market, though it's not the only factor.
Size matters, but it's not everything.
Right. More important, perhaps, is whether the sample truly represents the target population. If our sneaker company only surveys young men in cities, their findings won't be reliable for predicting what older women in rural areas want. The sample has to mirror the market.
Okay, representation is key. What else?
There's the simple fact of human behavior being unpredictable. People might say they'll buy something in a survey, but then act differently when it comes to actually spending money.
Yeah, intentions don't always equal actions.
True. Then there's potential interviewer bias. The way an interviewer asks a question, their tone, even their body language, could subtly influence how someone answers, especially in face-to-face interviews.
I hadn't thought of that.
And finally, as we discussed with questionnaires, poorly designed questions, ones that are confusing, ambiguous, or leading, will always produce unreliable data. Garbage in, garbage out, basically. Generally, bigger companies have the resources to do larger, more sophisticated, and thus more reliable research. Smaller businesses might rely on more informal methods, but they still need to be aware of these factors and try to make their research as sound as possible.
It sounds like getting reliable data is a real challenge, but absolutely necessary.
It is. Quality information is the goal.
All right, this has been super insightful. To help everyone listening sort of solidify this, how about we try a quick quiz, test our understanding?
Sounds good. Let's do it.
Okay, first one. Imagine your sneaker company did some research. Which of these findings would be an example of quantitative data? Is it A, our product is packaged very attractively. B, I would buy the product if it was available online. C, our market share is 14%. D, take the product because it is reliable.
Okay, think about numbers. The answer there is C. Our market share is 14%.
Why C?
Because 14% is a number. It's measurable, quantifiable. The others are opinions, statements about quality, or intention. That's qualitative data.
Got it. Okay, question 2. Your business is thinking about why it should bother with market research before launching something new. One key purpose is to do which of these? A, cut the cost of advertising. B, exploit economies of scale. C, reduce the risk in business. D, lower the barriers to communication.
The core purposes. The answer is C, reduce the risk in business.
And the thinking there.
We talked a lot about this. Market research helps you understand the market, test ideas, and make changes before big launch, significantly lowering the chance of failure. Reducing risk is a primary benefit.
Makes perfect sense. Question 3. Your sneaker company has a cool new design. Before they roll it out everywhere, they decide to sell it just in, say, Manchester to see how it does. What is this called? A, sampling. B, promotion. C, surveying. D, test marketing.
Selling in a limited area first. It's a classic example of D, test marketing.
Exactly what it sounds like.
Yep. It's testing the product and marketing strategy in a controlled, real-world environment before going national or international.
Okay, last one. Your business is digging through its own records for information. Which of the following is an example of internal secondary data? A, historic sales figures. B, government statistics. C, A market research report from a specialist agency. D. A press release by a competitor.
Internal secondary data. So existing information from within the company. That would be A, historic sales figures.
Why not the others?
Because government stats, agency reports, and competitor press releases all come from outside the business. They're external secondary data. Historic sales figures are generated by the company's own past activities.
Brilliant. Hopefully that little quiz helped lock in some of those concepts for you listening.
Yeah, applying the ideas helps them stick.
Absolutely. So this deep dive hopefully gives you a really solid grasp of how and why businesses use market research. And, think about it. The principles apply way beyond just big business. How much more confident can you feel about a decision when you've done your research first? Whether it's for a school project or helping a friend brainstorm a new idea, or even just deciding which phone to buy next. Doing your homework pays off.
Definitely. It's a valuable life skill, not just a business one.
For sure. And don't forget, if you want to explore these topics further or need more revision resources, head over to www.igceast-business.weebly.com. Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive today. We really hope you feel better equipped with this knowledge.